Hey guys, it's Captain Nabs here with you once again for another FS Economy World video. Today we're going to be talking all about goods in the FS Economy world, what they are and how we make use of them. Goods in FS Economy are commodities that can be bought and sold in the FS Economy world. They serve a few essential functions within FS Economy, but it's important to realize that you're likely not going to make a profit out of buying and selling goods per se. If you do make one, it's usually going to be quite small. Like the FBOs in FS Economy, the goods are mainly present to support your operations and are very highly unlikely to be profitable on their own the way the system is designed right now. So there's four types of goods in the FS Economy world. So the first two types of goods in the FS Economy world are fuel. We have jet fuel and we have 100 low lead, which is aviation grade gasoline used in piston powered airplanes such as Cessna 172s, Beech Barons, and most light aircraft. Or you'll be using jet fuel that'll power your jets and turboprops like the Cessna Caravan that you see here. The third type of good in FS Economy is building materials. This is what you need to build an FBO. Think of it as things like lumber, nails, paint, and anything else you might need in constructing a building. And the fourth type of goods in FS Economy is supplies. These are the items you need to keep an FBO running. Things like paper, light bulbs, coffee, whatever you might need to keep your FBO running in the real world. All four types of goods in the FS Economy world are pretty similar. They can be purchased from a supplier such as a refinery or factory in the game, transported from one airport to another, and they can be used by the player or resold to other players or even back to the FS Economy banks, so usually at a loss. There are a few distinct differences, however, between the different types of goods. Fuel especially. Bulk fuel can only be purchased from the refineries by an FBO, so the average player who's just a pilot can't go out and purchase fuel in bulk from a refinery. You have to purchase it from an FBO. And this is mainly because refineries would normally sell fuel by the truckload. They don't want to deal with individual one-off customers filling their tanks. FBOs can sell fuel in one of two ways once they own it. They can pump it directly into the tanks of an airplane, like a fuel truck normally would, or they can sell the fuel in drums to a player or pilot who can then transport this fuel in drums to another location to refuel an airplane that is perhaps stranded at an airport where there is insufficient fuel for the airplane to get back out again. One very important detail regarding fuel prices in the FS Economy world is that the retail price of fuel that you'll see here listed by an FBO, this is fuel that you'll pump into the tanks of an airplane, is listed in price per gallon of fuel. So $4.09 per gallon of 100 low lead fuel, or $3.84 per gallon of jet fuel at this FBO. However, if you scroll down to where you can purchase fuel by the barrel, down here at the bottom under the goods menu, note that this price here is in kilograms. It's not in gallons. Each gallon of fuel in FS Economy weighs a little bit less than 3 kilograms per gallon. So very important to make that distinction. This is not a really good price here for 100 low lead at $1.69 versus $4 because this is in kilograms. So in actual fact, this $1.69 is actually more expensive than the $4.09 per gallon. So make sure you realize that this is in kilograms, up here is in gallons. So be careful of that when you're comparing the prices. The other types of materials available to purchase, supplies and building materials, are located at various airports throughout the FS Economy world. Supplies are generally quite plentiful. They're available at many different airports. The price here is generally fixed. It doesn't change too much at different airports across the FS Economy network. I kind of wish it would, because I think that would make it a little bit more interesting to try and find cheap materials and fly them around and perhaps save some money by importing them to places where they're more expensive. But right now, supplies pretty much everywhere are the same price, $6.75 per kilogram to buy, or $3.24 per kilogram for you to sell it back to the system, and that's the same pretty much everywhere, unfortunately. Supplies are available in lots of different places. Building materials, however, are only available at generally the largest airports. So if I pick a large airport like Winnipeg here, scroll down to the goods section here, you'll see that, like most other airports, I do have supplies available for the same price pretty much everywhere. However, at the larger airports, we also have building materials available. And these, again, the price is generally fixed from place to place, and this discount is pretty much the same everywhere. If you buy 20,000 kilograms, you'll get 25% more. Now, I think it would be great for the FSEconomy servers if they would introduce some random price fluctuations throughout the various markets, therefore giving people a bit more of an incentive to buy goods and move them around, because right now, pretty much wherever you buy them, they're going to be the same price. The key is finding the nearest location that has them and getting an aircraft to get them to where you need them. Now, players' FBOs may sell some of these materials or supplies as well. However, because they're usually competing with the system-owned factories, you won't see it very often because there's not really too much profit to be made in selling these goods, unless you're perhaps just trying to dispose of a stockpile you may have gathered somehow. So here's one example of an FBO that actually the owner is actually selling building materials for a little bit less than you would normally buy them from a factory. Note that whenever you do buy them directly from the factory, also known as the local market, these supplies from the system are always unlimited, whereas supplies from a particular player will be limited to whatever limit they may set, which may be just the size of the stockpile they have to sell. So in this case, you can see here, we can buy a maximum of 4,000 kilograms of building supplies at $4 per kilogram from this owner here. So what can you do with these goods once you own them? Well, you can do a couple of things. You can transport them, you can sell them, or you can use them. And using them is probably the easiest and probably the real reason why you bought these goods in the first place. Because like I said, because the prices are the same pretty much everywhere, you're not going to make too much money buying and reselling these goods. So building materials are used to build an FBO. If you've gathered enough building materials at any one particular location to build an FBO, you'll see a list of them here on your FBO page of the places where you could possibly build an FBO. You have to have the full amount to build an FBO at any given time or any facility. There's no partially constructing a facility. You either have all the materials and build it all at once, or you don't. Supplies are the next one, and they're automatically used up by your FBOs when they're open. So you can see my FBO here uses up 40 kilograms of supplies S per day, and I have a stockpile here of 1,015 kilograms. There's no action required for you to use up these materials. They'll simply be used up by your FBO day by day as the FBO operates automatically. Now, to use up any fuel goods that you may have, that is barrels of fuel, you basically will refuel it like any other airplane you have previously fueled under my flight. So let's use a quick example here. We're in Morden, Manitoba. I'm going to quickly buy just a little bit of 100 low lead fuel, so I click on Buy. And I select an amount. I'm just going to buy a small amount, just 10 kilograms. And then if I go under my goods menu, you can see that I now own 10 kilograms of 100 low lead fuel that is stored here in Morden, Manitoba. Now, to refuel the airplane, you just have to make sure you've rented it. I've already rented it here, and you just simply click on refuel like you normally would, and you'll now see that in addition to fueling from the FBO, I also have the option of fueling from my local fuel drum, which contains 3 gallons of fuel, 10 kilograms. So I can now go to Morden Aviation, or I can go to local fuel drum. I have 12 gallons in the airplane right now. To get 3 more gallons in, I have to bring it up to a total of 15 gallons. And there we go. There's now 15 gallons in the airplane. I probably have a little bit of residual fuel left over because of the rounding, 2 kilograms of 100 low lead fuel left here in Manitoba. So now that I have this extra fuel left over, I can sell it. I can sell it back to anyone who's willing to buy it. This is the only place where I have goods that I have available for sale. So I can click on sell here. It's going to ask me who I want to sell to. It'll give me a list of eligible people who will buy it. It shows me the price and the maximum they'll buy. And I can type in the amount to sell, and all my goods are now gone. I no longer have any goods at any location around the world. So FBO owners will determine the price of any goods that they have at their FBO. The game will also buy back materials at the same places where it sells it. So just to use an example here, Manitoba Flight Services, I have a whole bunch of supplies here in Morden, Manitoba, and I can sell them back to the game world for a much lower price than I have purchased them, but I could sell them back if I wanted to. Anytime you do this, you'll probably be working at a loss, but if you really need some cash and you just have these materials lying around that you're not going to use, then you can do this. The last thing you can do with goods is you can move them from place to place in the FSEconomy world. In order to do this, you're going to need to take your goods and create assignments out of them. So you go to your list of goods that you own, and instead of clicking sell, you would now click new assignment. And what you can do is then specify, first of all, a destination airport that you wish these goods to be flown to. Let's say Charlie 48 Yankee. Specify an amount in kilograms and the number of packages that you want to create at this weight. So I could create one package of 500 kilograms, or I could also create 10 packages of 50 kilograms. Both of these add up to 500 kilograms in total. However, creating smaller packages is actually smarter for the system, because the smaller packages are then easier to move. If I create one large package, then I have to have an airplane big enough to carry the whole package. You can't break the packages down once they're created. However, if you create a whole set of smaller packages, you can split them into multiple aircraft, make multiple trips depending on the size. The biggest and best example of this would be when you need 20,000 kilograms of building materials to build a new FBO somewhere. 20,000 kilograms is a lot to carry in one package, and most of the airplanes in this system will not carry that much. However, if you were to take that 20,000 and say break it into 20 packages of 1,000 kilograms, then that will make it much more practical for you to load these various packages into airplanes. You can load multiple packages. If you have an airplane that could take 2,000, you could load 2 packages in one, but it just gives you a lot more flexibility in being able to split your large load into several flights in a more flexible way. You'll also notice on this page that you can specify how much to pay for each one of these packages delivered. So I'm going to go back to what I had before, trying to transport 500 kilograms in 50 kilogram packages. You can specify 0, in which case whoever transports it will receive absolutely no pay whatsoever, or you can specify any amount you want, whatever you feel that the transportation is worth. Once you're happy with everything, of course, you hit add, and you're immediately taken to the transfer assignments page here, and you'll see that here is a list of 10 assignments, each one 50 kilograms, going from CJA3 to C48 Yankee, and each one paying a grand total of $0. Just like with the assignments on an airport page, you can select them all here and assign them to your flight. And if you go to the airport page, you'll also see that these are also publicly listed here. I can go here, and any other user at this airport, any pilot in the system, can also select these flights and decide to transport these supplies for you for whatever pay you offer here. 0 pay in this case, although you could negotiate a separate deal with a pilot outside of the system. There are a few other things you can do with your transfer assignments. You can take them and you can make them private for yourself or to your group only. Once you've transferred them to a certain group, only the people in that group can access that assignment. Nobody outside the group can access that assignment. If I go back to Morden, Manitoba now, you'll see that these assignments are no longer listed publicly. These are now private to your group only. Note also that now that these goods have been offered up for transfer, they are no longer listed as goods at this location. They are packaged up in separate packages, no longer accessible as supplies, but they are only packaged up in parcels. Once they arrive at the destination, they'll be automatically unpacked and be available at the destination. Or, if you go in, select all of these assignments, and hit delete, it will not delete the packages, but it will simply unpack them exactly where they are right now. There are no assignments left. If I go to my goods list, you'll see that I am now back to having 1,015 kilograms here. So all 500 kilograms were unpacked here at Morden where they were sitting without being transported. And that's basically it. That's basically everything you need to know about goods in a nutshell. It's not particularly complicated. You can buy them, you can sell them, you can move them, you can use them. It's a bit unfortunate that you can't use them to actually make money, but because they basically cost the same price to buy and sell from the manufacturer anywhere in the FSEconomy world that they're available, there's not really too much incentive to move them around except to get them to places where they're not normally available. But buying and selling goods by themselves is not usually going to make you any money. You're just going to buy and sell them in support of your operations, in support of your FBOs and your aircraft. I think it would be great in the future if FSEconomy does consider creating a system that randomly changes the prices over time in various locations to help create markets and make it valuable to move goods around from places where they are perhaps less expensive to compete with more expensive locations. But until such systems are implemented, they're basically just there to support your FBOs and your airplanes. So good luck, enjoy FS Economy guys, and we'll have some more videos for you soon.